Hi, I'm Mike, and welcome to another episode of the Buffer Free Lounge. And with me is Lionel today, which is great to have you.
Hi, Mike. Thanks for having me.
Awesome. One of the things that I've heard about a lot lately is that many media workflows, especially around the origin, are starting to become more simplified than they have been in the past. At least they seem simplified on the surface, with kind of a reduction of the number of servers that you have to run for. You don't have to run Microsoft and Adobe and HLS servers anymore, or HTTP anyway, servers anymore. So things are starting to get a little bit simpler from the origination side of content. But at the same time, I'm hearing a lot of messages at NEB of customers saying, don't touch my bits. And I'm not really sure. I have an idea of what that could mean, but I'm curious what that means to you.
Yeah, I mean, you're absolutely right. That's something we heard a lot at NAB about the renewal of the OTT services on the Origin side. Because as you said, I've been doing Origin servers and Origin services for over 15 years now. And 15 years ago, when you wanted to stream to your Windows PC, you had to use Microsoft Silverlight Smooth Streaming or Adobe HDS, HTTP Dynamic Streaming, with their own encryption systems. And you still had to use HLS for your Apple devices. And those were the days before MPEG-DASH. So today, it's a lot simpler because between HLS and MPEG-DASH, you can basically address all the connected devices. It's also much more mutualized because in the past, you had to use different string formats with different media segment formats, different encryption systems that were 90% the same, but 100% incompatible with each other. So now it's way more simplified. You can use the same fragmented MP4 segments that can be shared across HLS and MPEG-DASH, which means it's easier on the origination service, but it's also more efficient on the CDN side. You can cache the same media segments and reuse them across your HLS or MPEG-DASH streams. So we see a lot of customers right now who want to renew their streaming infrastructure because they want to simplify and to get into something that is much more modern because they don't need to use smooth streaming anymore. So it's definitely something we see. Another concern is just-in-time packaging was great to address all those issues in the past. I think it's still relevant in many use cases, but it's not the only solution you have today because you can save money and you can simplify with just pre-packaging because you can leverage the fact that there is a consolidation and simplification on the market.
That's I totally agree with that. And the kind of the consolidation of the servers, has that changed the kind of the hardware infrastructure that sits underneath them? Are you still running a NAS system underneath your Origin server, or has that changed as well?
Yeah, that's also something that is really interesting, especially for live workflows when you have some real-time constraints on your access time to the bits that you have to stream. And it's taken for granted that storage works. Um,
Right.
Actually, no, it cannot. The problem is it works until it doesn't work anymore. And it's really hard to simulate streaming at scale because today we see a lot of events that are streamed to 3, 5, 6, 7 millions of concurrent viewers. How can you simulate that? If you want to do a simulation for 5 million concurrent viewers, usually have clusters of maybe 10,000, 100,000 endpoints, clients from the same location. So it's not the same as having those actual players all over the country, all over the world. And it's not the same in terms of constraints on your origin service and on the storage layer that is powering your origin service. And there is a lot of problems that you just don't see them, or you have a glitch in your pre-production workflow and you just root cause it because you cannot reproduce it because it's something that was, just one glitch that can happen way more frequently at scale. So there is a simplification on the workflows today, but there is also a more complex pre-production and production operational stress on the workflows. And I think it's really important today to be able to pinpoint all those problems when they arrive. You want to pinpoint them in real time. So maybe you want to have a real time analytic solution to help, but that's a different topic. We should talk about that.
Yeah, a one in 1,000 problem that shows up during your pre-production is easy to ignore, but 1 in 1,000 that shows up in production for 1 million people, that's not easy to ignore anymore.
That becomes a real problem. Absolutely.
Yeah, costly, more costly at the time. Thank you for your time, and I'll see you in the green room.
Thanks, Mike. It's always a pleasure. Have a good one.